Hey guys, it's been a while. I feel like I've been disappearing every few months periodically and then just coming back and saying that, which I guess in a way, if you think about it, means that it is consistency. It's okay. This time it's actually been a little bit, and it's pretty bad, honestly, because I was thinking okay, you know what, over the summer I've got free time, lock in, right, ahead of senior year. This is my last moment in the sun before I go, well, you know what, not yet. I still got one more year before I go off to college. This, realistically speaking, is my last, high school summer. Yeah, I guess that's just what we're gonna be talking about today. So my thoughts are completely unorganized right now, though, so I mean, you're gonna be coming with me as I'm thinking. I hope that works out fine. But I don't know. I told my friend about this YouTube channel a little while back, and they told me that it's like a nice little internet diary, which, I mean, it's pretty true. It's pretty true. I was thinking of it in terms of a journal myself, but realistically speaking, it's basically a diary. There's not a huge difference in the two, I think. I don't know. I feel like I'm all grown up, It's like the difference between saying hey, you want to come over and play, and hey man, you want to hang out, it's but yeah, I guess over the summer I've been thinking a lot about things, life, about myself, whatever, blah 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 blah. I feel like in movies and in literature, and wow, I said literature in actual just everyday colloquial speech. But I think in a lot of media and things in pop culture that we read and watch, we always hear about these great stories of people who have to forget or deconstruct who they are in order to realize and find who they are. And I was really hoping for that this summer because I've gone through a lot of stuff, not bad things. I mean, overall, I'd say, and I felt like I learned a lot about myself, learned about the people around me, learned about the world around me, got to meet some new people around me, which is all really great. This means nothing to anybody just listening regularly, but yeah, this is my internet diary, so it does not matter who's listening but me, I guess. And I feel like that's the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about. I feel like performativity is a really big thing these days, you know what I mean? I don't know about you guys, I don't know who's watching this, but I feel like at least me, maybe at my school or my generation, everybody's being so performative. When you dress or when you post something online, it's always specifically for someone to see, and it's to tell a specific thing about yourself, which I guess has always been the case. The only reason fashion exists is to say something about yourself, you don't want to just look nice. If that were the case, we'd all still be wearing I don't know, mid 20th century formal attire. But you also want to say something about your personality, I guess, in the way you dress. Yeah, where was I going with? Oh right, performativity. Yeah, but I feel there's a line that's crossed between dressing the way you appreciate, or posting something online, or I don't know, saying a certain, or even reading a certain book in public now, I guess. Oh, also music is big, movies, things like that. It's kind of pseudo cool to be smart, but also not too smart at the same time, you know what I mean? It's cool, oh yes, I too read feminist literature, consume avant-garde movies, and listen to retro futurist, nihilist, postmodern punk rock. It's cool to be kind of quirky, but at the same time, it's not cool to be genuinely quirky, if you know what I mean. I feel it's the Overton window, except for social norms, I guess. It's cool if you're skirting the edge of that, but you don't want to go too far, because otherwise you're just weird. And I think it's good that we have social norms, don't get me wrong. Some people do some weird things that I'm not gonna lie, yeah man, you gotta be condemned for that. I've experienced that firsthand over summer. I went to a boarding camp, and yeah, let's just say I'm glad social norms exist, because if they did not, things would have gotten so much worse, and I'm glad they did not. But yeah, I feel that's what I've been thinking about a lot. I feel I'm very self-conscious in the way that I appear to other people. It's kind of bad, I think, in a way, because that makes me kind of anxious about what do they think about me? Oh, what does it look like I'm doing right now? It got to the point where even if I sat in public, I wouldn't sit too big, you know what I mean? Take up too much space and stuff. Or at school, because that's oh, I don't want to be those kids. If I'm outside, if I'm just standing around and I make a wrong turn, I don't want to look like a complete idiot idiot. So like I always have to take out my phone and be like, ah, yes, my GPS gave me the wrong turn, you know? Like, no, it didn't. I just made a wrong turn, and I like didn't want the people standing on the side of the street to see that I made a wrong turn. I live in like a city too, so I don't know these people. They just saw me do that, and I'm embarrassed by it, you know? Like, yeah, man, that doesn't matter. That really does not matter. That's like low level performativity. I think there's like certain levels where people get really like into just acting, basically, to the point where I don't really know what their genuine personality or character is, because I'm not really sure they have one. I don't know if they got one either, you know, because it's all just like social chameleon, you know what I mean? You just blend in with whoever's around you, and I find that really annoying, because like I think one of the things I appreciate most about people is when they're able to be genuine and like open and honest about themselves. And I feel like if you can't even be open and honest to yourself about how you behave around people, like, I don't know, how are other people supposed to believe that? And also, to be fair, like, I can't say I'm totally in the right here. I think I've always been someone, like I said, super self-conscious about the way I look, and I feel like I have sort of also been like a people pleaser. I've been like, these are things I'm just, you know, sort of realizing more, so I feel like I gotta change, you know. I'm losing my voice a little bit. My mouth is so dry, but I want to finish recording because I don't want to get water and pause and lose my train of thought. But yeah, I feel like also that's another thing like that I've sort of had to work on, maybe on myself. Like, I think it's one thing to be self-aware, and then another thing to be overly self-conscious, you know? You can be aware of the way you're perceived, or aware of, you know, your behaviors and actions. I'm just talking right now. Like, it's not even going through my mind. My mouth is just moving. I'm making the sounds. Like, I don't hear the conscious thoughts in my head. I've been sleeping pretty bad. But yeah, I think there's a difference between the two. And I feel like that level of self-consciousness, like the fear of being judged by other people, it's sort of been like a big thing stopping me from doing a lot of things. Like even this YouTube channel, you know, after a while, like, I don't know, I just didn't want to do it anymore, because like people were sort of teasing me about it. Some of my friends know, because I accidentally revealed it. This is like my secret identity, you know. And then some other people I've just told. I don't know, I feel like I've also had to like been really thinking about what I say here, or like watch myself, you know, what I say, or the words I use even in public, like in front of other people too, because that says something about you, you know. Your vocabulary says something about you. And like, I think it's all fair to a certain extent, but like, you know, it's like everything in life is about finding balance, blah 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 blah. But it's true. It's really true. Like, you obviously don't want to be disrespectful. You have to be aware of, you know, how much time you're taking up, how much space you're taking up, and like if you're really like being rude or really mean or something like that. But at the same time, like, you don't want that to stop you from being a real person. I used to be really scared of being a bad person, and I think that's because like I know I was a really bad person when I was younger. I feel like I'm still not a super great person now, but you know, these are things like you think about and you keep in mind, but you don't want to let stop you from being a good person. I don't think that sentence made sense, but yeah. hopefully it did. Wow, okay, I haven't had to do this much talking straight, like unfiltered, in a long time, so my mind is just not running right now. I feel like another thing that sort of come to my attention over the summer, a close friend of mine sort of brought this up. This person is kind of like a lot older and wiser than me, so I take their word pretty seriously. Like, they said that like they felt like I complain a bit too much about things, like a bit whiny, and like I feel like if somebody else sort of told me this normally, I'd feel like, oh man, that's just like kind of mean. But I trust this person, so I feel like, oh wow, I've sort of had to think about it, you know. And although like when the person said this to me, like they themselves were kind of like angry or like annoyed at me, but I feel like that just makes it more honest, you know what I mean? Like, they wouldn't be telling me that otherwise, and it's like the annoyance or the anger that sort of like dragged out this worse, I guess, darker opinion of me. And I feel it's not super bad, I guess. They could have said like, I feel like you've got serial killer tendencies, and you know, that would have been a lot worse. But it's not that. It's something, I guess, a little more minor comparatively, but I think it's true. I feel like I try to be really optimistic, but I guess sometimes I can be sort of more negative about the situations I'm in. Like, I really wish that things could have been better, or like, oh, if only things went this way, blah 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 blah. I feel like I fantasize about that a lot. Like, oh, if only this happened. Even when I'm in an already like really great scenario, I'm like, oh man, but if only I did this, then this would have been like better, and so on and so forth. And I feel like that's something I really needed to, like, you know, adjust a little bit, like gratitude. I feel like I've got to be a lot a lot more thankful, especially now that like I'm leaving for college, you know, in basically exactly 1 year now. I've been trying to be a little more like conscious of the smaller things, just in my everyday life, I guess. Like my mom, she cooks like dinner pretty much every single day, and I'm really grateful for that, you know. Like obviously recently, like I feel like my schedule started to diverge a little bit from the rest of my family's, so I've been like, I don't know, eating some leftovers and stuff. But I feel like doing that has only made me more aware of, you know, how much work goes into like actually preparing the food, and you know, like she cares about me a lot, I think, which I really appreciate, you know. But I feel like it's these smaller things that you don't really notice until like this summer, for example. I went to you know, like a stay, like a camp, you know. And yeah, when you lose certain things, I guess that's when you realize their true value, you know. This is sounding really soppy and corny, but it's true. Also, maybe on the performativity thing, like, so our school has an a cappella group and we have a normal chorus group. I'm in the normal chorus group because it's just an elective you take, but I've always wanted to be in the a cappella group. However, I've never had the courage to try out because I've always thought my singing voice was really bad. Actually, that's a lie. I thought that if I tried out, I would just like get in. Yeah, because I thought of myself like, it was really weird because on one hand I was thinking like, oh, if I tried out, they're gonna deny me for sure. And it's also awkward because a lot of my like good friends are in the a cappella group. So if I tried out, like they might hear me, or if I tried out and got in, they would have to hear me sing with them because it's a relatively small group. But on the other hand, like I'm thinking, oh, if I tried out, like surely I'd get in, you know. And sometimes like I'd be singing in the shower and I catch myself and I'd be thinking like, wow, I'm really good, you know. And then like when I actually try to like sing anywhere else, I'd be like, man, I'm so bad. So it's really weird because I'd be like switching back and forth, and I was so scared of being outed as like a fraud even from regular chorus, you know. Even though like as I was singing regular chorus, I knew that certain other people there like weren't really into singing. Let's put it at that. Like they were just there to like get the arts credit so they can move on. Yeah. But that all came to a head last year when I finally, like junior year, I'm thinking like, okay, I'm halfway done with high school. Like, come on, I gotta do something here. Like, you know, I gotta push myself a little more. So I tried out and it was so bad. It was so bad. I did not, like, I went up there, I got up in front of the co-heads of like the a cappella group, and I just did not sing. Like my throat seized up, all my, like my heart was pounding so fast. I got so sweaty for some reason. And even though it was just like the three of them and like our choir teacher, and they were just there, and they were being encouraging and stuff. They weren't even being mean. Like they're just like, hey man, like you want a minute? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, and then they were like, do you need to step out for a second? Like, oh, do you need to like warm up a little bit and then we can come in, you know? And I felt really bad because it was supposed to be like 15 minutes, but I ended up taking 20, and I didn't sing my song. I was gonna do The Longest Time by Billy Joel, but I got up there and I didn't sing. I like my throat seized up and I physically could not sing. I'm saying this out loud now, and I know it sounds like not super believable, but it's true. I don't know how that happened. Like just when the moment of truth came, you know, it just didn't happen. I guess it was like the craziest performance anxiety. Yeah, I'm getting like nervous now thinking about it too. I'm reliving it. And the awful thing is, like 1 week later, they gave me another opportunity to try out because the first time was so bad. I was like, I sent them an email. I was like apologizing and stuff. And one of my friends was there too. He was one of the people, like the co-heads of the a cappella group. He was like, yeah, don't worry about it, you know, haha. But the second time to try out came around, and then I went up and I was like, okay, this time I really got it. Like I practiced my song a few more times, and I got up there and it was so bad. I sung so bad. It was, oh man. It was like my throat was clenched and I was barely singing, but at least I got something out there, okay? It was better than the first time, but I sung really bad. And then there was a last part of the tryout, which is like everybody who wants to be a part of the group to try out, like goes and does a rehearsal with the a cappella group, you know, the already like remaining established members. And then they have you guys like sing scales there, like together and stuff. And so I got up there, I sung scales, and oh my god, it was so bad. It was so bad, man. I was like totally out of tune, and it got nervous because they separated us into like groups of 3 to sing scales. And every now and then our choir teacher would just like walk around to listen, and the other two people in my group would be pretty on point, because like somebody was playing the piano too, so you know, like we didn't have to memorize it or anything, you know, just follow the notes. But I got nervous every single time the choir teacher came, and I would like really try hard to like be on note, but I'd overcompensate and it'd go really bad. Like I was just like, by the end I was just like mumbling. It was so bad. It was totally off key. Like I don't even think I was in the right like octave or whatever it's called. I was totally off key. And that felt so bad. Like I was getting so sweaty. That and the first tryout was like top 10 most uncomfortable experiences of probably my high school career. So obviously, as a result, I did not get the part. Like I did not get, you know, cast in with the rest of the group. This is a really long story, but the roundabout way of what I'm trying to say is like, when I get up in front of people, I'm just not able of like performing as well, you know. I don't know, I just have the craziest stage fright. And it's the same thing with anything musical related. Like I sort of play guitar, like as in I know how to play like the most basic chords, and I sort of play harmonica, but like only a tiny bit. And I feel like I get super scared like every time I actually have to play for someone, or even when I'm just like alone in my bedroom just like playing, and I think someone in my family might be listening. That scares me a lot as well. And I think over the summer too, I've talked about this with a friend, but I guess I can't speak for him, but I've also started like trying to do, you know, a little more writing. I've started journaling. It's super on and off. I got this nice little pocket notebook, and I've been like, I'm halfway through it now. It's like, okay, you know what, honestly, because we're like, well, actually no, we're more than halfway through the year now. But I wrote a lot in there, and I've been trying to like, I've been using the Notes app a lot more. I feel like that's just an inevitable event happening to everyone in my generation. And like, I've been trying my hand at poetry, because sometimes like, you know, I want to write something that like about what I'm thinking about, or like what I'm feeling, you know, like, ooh, really artsy, you know. But I want to convey it in a way that feels more emotional, like true to the moment of like how I feel, I guess, instead of putting it out in paragraph form. So it's more condensed and like sharp certain, oh, I just bumped my microphone, but sharp certain thoughts, you know, like I'd actually be thinking like in my head, instead of like flowy sentences. Because I feel like when I write, like my sentences tend to run a little bit long. I use a lot of semicolons, em dashes, like colons, you know, conjunction, whatever sentences, all the grammars, you know, all the grammar things. Yeah. Like sometimes that's just how I think, like one idea goes into the next. But at the same time, I feel like it's a lot of mental work to put the flow in there. You know, brevity is the soul of wit. You want to be sharp and concise sometimes. And I feel like poetry is really great for that, because you get like almost like bullet point thoughts, but not necessarily. And you get to break it up in a way that really puts emphasis on certain words. Like I took a poetry class. It was really bad, because I took it because okay, you know what, I'm just gonna put my heart out there. This is my internet diary, okay? I took it because, being the youthful, hopeless romantic youth I am, I don't, okay, you know what, I take that back. I feel like I don't believe in hopeless romanticism, but I feel like, you know, I had a certain passion, you know, burning in my breast, and I really had to let it out somewhere. I had to unleash the will of the pen, you know. This is so bad, right? This is so bad. I'm gonna be watching this. I don't know if I'm gonna cry or laugh. Yeah, but you know, so I really took that poetry class. It was so bad because we read a lot of poems that all I knew about poetry beforehand was that like sonnets and like Shakespeare's love sonnets and, you know, things like that. Read a lot of war poetry, and we read a lot about the partition of India and Pakistan, and you know, that was all stuff like I never really learned about before. And to learn about that in a poetry class too was actually pretty sort of exciting in a way, but also like a little bit surprising. Like that's not what I kind of expected when I signed up for poetry, but it was nice. I think I really liked my poetry teacher, and I think like she actually really cared about poetry, and we kind of got to meet and talk a few times about it. But yeah, so I really enjoyed it from there. And over the summer, like I tried my hand at it a little more, and I feel like I was like fine. Like I wouldn't say good, because I think good poetry is really, really hard to write. It's like, you know, the Dunning-Kruger effect. Look that up, you know. You know, novices tend to overestimate their own ability at doing new things. So I think like I really overestimated my ability to write poetry, or how easy it is to write poetry. But now I think as I've learned more, like I realize like, oh, it's really hard to get good at poetry, you know, and it's really hard to like manipulate words in a way that not only get people to like feel something or think something or look at something a new way, but also get it in a way that like actually gets your own true, like your own voice, you know, your true voice out there. Something that's really relevant to you, something that's like universally true, but also personally true. Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm just saying this because, like, yeah, I've been fusing Notes app and poetry a little bit. Yeah, writing a lot, trying to write, especially in preparation for, like, college essays. But at the same time, I'm kind of worried I'm burning myself out a little bit too much by writing a lot. I used to love writing a lot when I was really little. Like I made a lot of comic books for fun, like in elementary school. And then I like kept on just writing fun little books and stuff, personal, not really like personal essays, because I didn't really know what those were. But in 6th grade, someone that like, I don't really want to say mentor, because, you know, I don't really think it was that well, I guess sort of mentor. Someone like who was all grown up and I was sort of friends with and happened to know, like suggested that I take writing a lot more seriously if I really liked it. Because like, you know, they were a writer and they wanted, like, you know, they were excited to see young people, as in a 6th grader, being excited about, you know, the thing they were doing. So they got me this book called The Best of Me by David Sedaris. I really like that book. I've never gotten around to finishing it, which is crazy. And like, it's kind of an expensive book too. It's like $30. But it's like nice. I have it on my desk right now. Well, on my bed actually. But it's like nice. I really love the way the jacket looks, and the guy David Sedaris who writes, like, I love his writing. This is probably one of my favorite books of all time, and I haven't even finished it. Like, I've been reading it on and off for, what is it, 5.5 years now? That's insane. But yeah, his writing is like so authentic, so like true to his character, and sometimes like it's a little mean, but you know, he never means it in a cruel way. And he's like so smart, and I think that's reflected in the way he writes. Like, highly recommend. I'm completely running off the rails here. It's been 28 minutes of my recording. But yeah, like, I think if there was a writer that I most wanted to emulate, sort of, like, it'd be him. I feel like I do think writing is personal, so like everyone should, you know, have their own little voice and things like that. But I think if there's one writer that I look up to the most, it's probably him, even though I haven't read very much of his stuff. Also, well, on the topic of book recommendations, I think Contact by Carl Sagan is probably my favorite book of all time. I don't want to spoil too well. I mean, there's a movie. I didn't like the movie that much, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, but the book was really, really great. I love the book so much. I read it, I think 2 years ago now, and it's just some of the most creative like work. Like, it's almost poetic in a way, you know. I remember it just blew my mind when I read it, like, after freshman year, and yeah, it made me like want to be a lot more interested in sci-fi. And it's ironic because now I barely read, which is so bad. It's so bad. But, you know, I want to, okay? Yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it. I feel like this last, you know, year this is about to be like our swan song, you know, like the senior swan song. I've been trying to keep all my Spotify playlists alliterating, so I've been thinking about, like, actually, you know what, I'm not gonna say that, I might dox myself. But yeah, it feels really strange, like, going in, this is our last year, you know, and grades don't even matter second semester that much. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think everybody says that second semester, like, as seniors, like, oh yeah, I'll put in the work, you know, for clubs. Like, I've got like a few things I sort of have to do a little bit of, you know, leadership in. But I don't know, I've seen it happen before, like, every year, even the most dedicated seniors sort of slack off in the spring, so I feel like that's sort of probably inevitable, to be honest, like, with me. Yeah, so, you know, I feel like I really gotta like wring out the rag here, you know what I mean? Like totally milk myself dry. Oh, wow, that sounds really wrong. Yeah, I mean, that's what I tell myself every year. I always hype myself up like August around this time, maybe a little bit later, like right before school starts. I don't know. I feel like I always sort of fall apart by mid-October. And I know this year is about to hit me like I just saw the Superman movie. It's been like 2.5 weeks now, but I'm a punk rocker. Yes, I am. Yeah. And through it all, when there was doubt. Okay, I don't really know what I'm saying anymore, but I feel like I'm just really hyping myself up now. I had a senior year. I'm really not looking forward to it, but it's also something so universal, you know, like even when I go on Instagram, I see people in my exact situation, which is so weird because I think I mentioned this before, but I got on the internet at a kind of younger age, like 6 years old, which probably was not that great for me, but I'm glad that my parents probably were on the stricter side of like things overall in like internet usage. But it feels weird now being on the internet and seeing people younger than me posting things, you know, like especially as a Minecraft YouTuber. I've always been thinking of myself as one of the younger people on the internet because every time I'd watch YouTube videos or, you know, Instagram reels, I guess now, the people on it like talking to me would be older than me. And now it's weird because there's people younger than me, like they're talking about freshman year and stuff, but I'm like, oh, they're so young, you know? Yeah, it's like, oh, they're so cute. Anyway, I've been talking for like 33 minutes now. I'm gonna have a fun time editing this. Actually, it's not even that bad. There were times where my Minecraft videos would take upwards of 30 hours per video to record and edit, which is crazy. So yeah, you know, if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah, this has been Talking Paperclip. Goodbye.